Hello everyone, I'm Rodney from 3dgameman.com, and today I'm looking at the Thermaltake Toughpower DPS G 1050 watt power supply. Now DPS stands for digital power supply and G stands for gold, so now you know. The box looks rather sweet. You've got lots of pictures of the product on it, plus plenty of features and specifications about it. Included is a user's manual, product warranty information, and the bag, which has modular leads in it, plus a USB cable, as well as a power cord, a couple of rubber bumpers, and 4 black regular screws for mounting the power supply in the case. The power supply itself is packaged very well between 2 pieces of quality styrofoam, and it has this cloth sheath around it. Now before I dive right into the video review here, I just want to go over these rubber bumpers. They have sticky tape on the back. You peel that off, of course, and stick it on. They make the rounded corners square, so you can mount it at the back of the case. As well, the screws that they include are a little longer to allow for it being rounded. The mount points for the screws are in, of course, a little further than on a standard power supply. And oh, I forgot, they also include some plastic cable ties. Thermaltake offers all kinds of Toughpower power supplies like the plain Toughpower, the XP, the Grand, the DSP, but the top of the line model is this one, the DSP G line, and they are currently available in wattages ranging from 450 all the way up to 1050. Now the 150, which I'll be looking at today, has a peak wattage of 1260, which is some serious power. Now let's really quickly go through how this wattage is determined, and to do so we'll need to talk about rails. I know if you've been watching my video reviews for a long time, then you've heard this over and over and over again, so you might want to skip it, although there is some important wattage and amperage information in it. So let's continue. Rails are basically well-regulated transformers which convert domestic current into the voltages that your computer system can use, and there are essentially 2 different rails, the 3.3/5 volt rail and the 12 volt rail. Now in this particular case, the approximate maximum peak output of the 3.3/5 volt rail is 130 watts and the 12 volt is 1050 watts. Now the 3.3/5 volt rail is responsible for the motherboard, memory, PCI cards, and so on, while the 12 volt rail is responsible for the hard drives, optical drives, fans, CPU, video cards, etc. It's also very important to know the peak amps on each rail. Well, the plus 3.3 volt as well as the plus 5 volt rails are both 25 amps each, and there's a single plus 12 volt rail, and that one is 87.5 amps. So you're in the market for a power supply, but you're on a budget, so you go out and buy, well, a cheap power supply. No. Don't do that. Go out and spend some extra money on a power supply, because in the end, it will pay off. Buy a quality brand name power supply. Now there are a number of important things to remember when selecting a power supply, and the first is wattage. That makes a lot of sense, right? You need to determine how much wattage you're going to require by the amount of hardware that you will be installing. Now generally speaking, a medium to high-end gaming rig would require a 500 to a 700 watt power supply. For a hardcore system, select a power supply that's around 800 watts. If, however, you are building an extreme gaming rig with a top-of-the-line multiple video card setup with lots of other hardware, select a power supply like this one that's above 1000 watts. Second, it should be at or above 80% efficiency, and that's not a problem for this power supply because its efficiency is from 87 to 92%. Third, it should meet the latest ATX and other current standards, environmental directives, over voltage, under voltage, and other protections. This power supply meets all current standards. Fourth, I'd recommend choosing a power supply that has APFC. Now, APFC, or active power factor correction, assists the power supply in being more efficient and therefore stable under load. APFC basically reduces total harmonics, it corrects input voltage, and allows for full input voltage range. Thankfully, this power supply has APFC. Fifth, there are 3 main certifications, 80+, NVIDIA SLI, and AMD Crossfire. Now, many of today's high-end power supplies meet one or more of these certifications, and this power supply is 80 A+ gold certified, and it is Intel Haswell ready. 6, look for a power supply that uses Japanese capacitors because it ensures a much more reliable product than a power supply with low-grade capacitors. Now, thankfully, this power supply does have 100% 105-degree Japanese electrolytic capacitors. As well, get a power supply that has enough leads for your setup. Also consider one that has a modular design because it reduces the cable mess inside of the case. And finally, it is very, very important to get a power supply with a fantastic warranty, and this one comes with an insane 7-year warranty. Remember, most power supplies come with a 3 or 5-year warranty. Now, I think the styling on this power supply is rather bold. You've got information stickers all the way around the power supply. It's mostly black, comes with this nice gold fan grill and a red strip, which is pretty much all the way around the power supply. I think you're either going to like this or you are not. Now, they do include a 140mm fan, quite a large fan, but it's super quiet. There's also lots of ventilation, so the power supply should remain cool in almost any environment. Here's the power switch and the power cord connection. Now, I'm sure at this point you've come to the realization that this is a 100% modular power supply, and that's simply awesome because you only need to use the ones required for your particular setup, which of course reduces the cable mess and thus increases airflow inside of the case. Note as well that all of the connectors are labeled, including the USB connection at the top left here. Plus, every single lead is flat and flexible. I love these leads. As a matter of fact, when I'm purchasing a power supply, it really has to have these flat, flexible leads because they can be routed around just about anything. They look super cool as well. What really sets this power supply apart from the others is the software. You can find out so much information at a glance with this. It's not funny. So let's go through it. Looking at it first, you can see at the top it shows you information about whatever you have selected, whether it be efficiency, watts, and fan speed. As well, you can get a graphical representation of this over time. At the bottom, there's a home button, settings, language. You can change the language, you can clear the electricity costs, you can clean up the user account information, support manual, you can update the software and log in. Different records here. You can share, Twitter, Facebook, and about the software itself. Let's go back to the beginning here. And efficiency shows you the efficiency, shows you the watts, shows you the fan speed, which, by the way, you can change from silent to performance. The cost per kilowatt hour, which you can change, and you'll have to change that for your particular area. The power supply temperature. You've got the different volts. You can cycle between 12 volt, 5 volt, and 3 volt. The amps, the volts, and a whole bunch of CPU options, CPU wattage, amperage, you've got voltage, and the actual CPU temperature. And video card information, the watts, the amps, and the temperature. Finally, have a listen to the 140mm fan. So is this power supply worth your hard-earned money? I say yes, if you want a digital power supply that is Gold Plus certified and looks rather snappy. Otherwise, well, you can go with another quality brand name power supply. And remember, Thermaltake has many other Toughpower power supplies in their lineup. So tons of power supplies to choose from. I really, really like this power supply overall. I mean, the quality of power is excellent, completely modular, flat, flexible leads that are just to die for. Plus, you've got software with this. 100% kick-ass without a doubt. Until next time, take care.